I didn't believe it when you told me, but I saw it myself. He played against Andoan, and there's visual evidence of this on YouTube.
Instead of trying to move out into someone else's house, let me look for a mortgage.
How old were you at this point?
I was going to turn 25, yeah. My 18th birthday gift when I became an adult was actually 10,000 shillings worth of Muturi shares.
Did you cash them out?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. Hey everybody, welcome to yet another episode of Financially Incorrect, a podcast sponsored by FinTech Specialist. Remember, here is where we have a cheeky take on very serious financial topics. I'm your host, Barak, and we're getting closer and closer to Christmas. I think this episode goes out 3 days before Christmas. I think today is the day when everybody goes on leave. I think even the government offices, I think you close on 22nd or 23rd. So I think today is the day to officially close out the year. So from everybody here, from everybody at FinTech Specialist, from everybody at Financially Incorrect, Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We hope that you have I hope you have a great Christmas and it's filled with good food and gifts and holiday spirit. Holiday cheer is the word. So today I have with me a person who was with me at the live recording that we did. His name is Moturi. He is the head of product. Well, first of all, he's a FinTech specialist. Worked in FinTech and startups. I think he's more of a startup expert.
Yeah.
So he started out for 12 years.
I'm a startup PR guy.
He has a very impressive sports CV as well. Played rugby for Kenya. He's played basketball and represented Kenya as well. And I didn't believe it when you told me, but I saw it myself. He has a video where he played against Andoan, and there's visual evidence of this on YouTube. If you go on YouTube and search "hot sauce gets schooled," you'll see the video of Philip Muturi taking him on at Nyayo Stadium and completely embarrassing him. I don't know what the move was called. He's going to tell us. But yeah, so we have with me Philip Muturi today.
Yeah.
How are you?
Doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's it been since the live?
Since the live?
Yeah.
So since the live, my nights have been spent dealing with my crying newborn baby.
Yes, of course. I forgot. On the day of the live was the day you took your newborn.
Yes, from hospital to home.
Yeah.
That was his first day at our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is your fourth boy.
Yes, I'm Baba Boys here.
Four
so
boys.
I've got 4 boys.
Yeah.
This is the 4th one who's just been born last week. 7 days old today.
Wow. I come from 7 days old today when we're recording this, but by that time he'll be a month and a bit.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
I come from a family of boys as well. We have 4 boys. I have 3 brothers, one who's a twin, and
sweet.
total carnage.
Oh man.
From fighting, I when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I used to feel like I'm stronger than my elder brother, and that it was just he just kept beating me because of small things. So anytime I could pick a fight, I would.
You take it.
I'd always be like, the next time I'm gonna take him, but that day
Never ever.
That day never came. He was 3 years older than me though. What's it like? What's it like with 4 boys? I guess 3 and now a young man. Yeah.
Thing is, I get home from work. I need to have an extra battery pack of energy. Yeah, so because as soon as I just walk in through the door, it's like, oh, Dad, let's play this, let's play that, let's play this. So I just can't afford to get home tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your, I guess your route home? What's your routine like when you're leaving the office and you get into the house, so that you ensure that you're there and able to be present and fresh? Because I can imagine some days some work days are long and all of that. So how do you try and ensure you're still there for them in that way?
Yeah. So it's basically just that. So number one, actually sometimes cycle to work and so cycle back home.
You really are that guy. You cycle to work sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's El Nino season, so it's not possible every day.
Yeah.
Because of the rains.
Yeah.
But yeah, so get back home. At least I've gotten some of my own personal fitness dealt with through that. and just make sure that I at least have like an hour or so to play with them. So right now, the main thing that we like playing in the house together is, let me say, either chasing each other, playing
It's
football
like
in
tag.
the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're in a golf putting season at the moment. So we've
Okay.
got a putting mat there in the house as well. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Are there ever days where you're too worn out to, I guess, to hang out with them or to play with them or to be that father?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the cheat code for that sometimes is just hang back until they fall asleep and just turn up in the house when when they're really out. That's the cheat code there.
That's your cheat code.
That's the
there.
cheat code.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. I
Yeah.
have a question because I have two girls and
Yeah.
I'm convinced because every time I'm with my nephews, right, and we're having a meal or whatever it is, they never ask me for my food.
Wait,
They-
who?
my nephews, they never ask me for my food. Like they'll never come and be like, hey, can I have a bite of this, or any of my male? Yeah, I guess they're nephews. I don't have any sons. Any of my
your
male
daughters
but my
always ask.
daughters, and my wife, and I'm convinced that it's a female thing. So my
Actually,
question to you is: do your sons ask you for food? Like,
I think they've had seasons
Yeah.
when that happens,
yeah,
but come to think of it, when I look back at like my nieces and
Yeah.
nephews, I'd actually state it's more of a girl thing, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
It's so much more predominant with them.
yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough. Yeah, I'm trying to rally up support for that because I don't know, and I can't quite explain it. It's like it's my food, Like I
Is
can
it
just-
tastier?
Yeah.
Or do you just want, or maybe it's that thing of
Yeah.
of like, oh, the man is the provider, so please provide me with some food
Oh,
from your own
man.
plate.
I don't know.
Maybe there's just some ingrained thing somewhere there.
I don't know about it. I don't know about all of that. But anyway, just an interesting dynamic. Okay, so let's get into it. So you're head of product, right?
Well, I
product.
was at a previous role.
Right.
Right now, I'm within a product team.
Oh,
at the
right now you're
moment
within a
at-
product
at-
team.
at Shara, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess first things first is I just want to break down what product management means in the first place,
Okay,
right? Because I feel like over the last like 2-3 years, like it's this new career space that's like
Yeah, it's
blowing up,
yes,
and
it
everyone
is.
now wants to be a product manager, and they're being paid all the good money anyway. So maybe we can just start by what a product manager is and how you even got into product management in the first place.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So product management is basically like at the intersection of the the business itself, and its priorities of trying to make a buck. The intersection of the technology team, who they have their own constrained resources and what can and cannot be done through technology, and also at the intersection of and then the customers, like what do they desire, what do they want, is it actually meeting the customer's needs? So you're the person who's piecing all that together and like, okay, this is what can be a viable product at this point in time. And then so you're interfacing a lot with multiple people within the organization. As I mentioned, the business and their priorities, the customers, you're interfacing as well with the technology team. That's actually one of the heaviest sets of interactions there. So the end result is you designing and building a product
Right.
that the market desires.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of questions I have,
Yes.
but first question: why is a product manager so important? Or rather, what kind of businesses are product managers important for?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely talk about within the technology space. So this is where you're building things at scale. And I think this is probably the reason why you're stating that they're also getting some of the good cash. It's because like technology companies, they just have that unfair advantage of being able to scale without too many physical barriers, right? You don't need to open up an office in some cases for technology businesses, you can actually just roll out to the entire world without having to go through lots of regulations.
Right.
Yeah, depending on the industry you're in. Uh, the second part of your question there was
Is why is so
oh
why they're so important?
why they're so
Yeah.
important. Yeah. So the thing is, if the salesperson, let me talk about, because a product can be designed from anywhere, to be honest.
Right.
Right. If you tell, let's say, the salesperson to just say, we want to design, please just design the product as you'd want it.
Yeah.
They'll just push for something that will maybe just make help tweak the sales numbers in
Okay.
some certain way.
Right.
But maybe it's not actually really meeting the
Customer needs.
customer needs.
Right.
Right. The customer as well can be just like, hey, let's say through the customer experience team, like, hey, this is what we really want, and this is what I desire. This is the kind of thing that can help solve my problems. But if it's only coming in through that direction, and we're not balancing it out with, okay, is that commercially viable for the business? Then the business, yes, it can decide to try and make that product or make those tweaks, and that will end up resulting in something that will just keep draining money from the company,
Right.
and that in itself won't be something that's
Right.
that's sustainable. And there's just that aspect of some technical knowledge, understanding what's feasible, what's not feasible. When you're engaging now with the engineering team, so a product manager really, at the end of the day, I'd sum them up as like a jack of all trades to some
Right.
extent,
Right.
You need to be able to to speak to different people from their and level with them from their perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a tech element, from
Yes.
what I've understood. There's a
Yes.
tech element. There's a sort of marketing element.
Yes.
And there's a sales element, or rather a commercial element.
Yes.
Business development that's required to be able
Yeah.
to, I guess, be a product manager, right?
Yeah.
Do you need all three to be in your experience, and I guess from what you've seen, do you need all three, or can you have two and I don't know, pick up
Yes.
one or
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost near impossible to have someone who's just naturally is able to do all three
Right.
very, very comfortably.
right.
So you'll typically find that one path into it is maybe you used to be a software engineering manager, and
Right.
then now you delved into that because you used to receive all those requests anyway from the different sources, and
Right.
you eventually like, oh wait, actually I can tweak the product like this and like that. You also find some guys coming in through like maybe sales or marketing angle, where they're like, oh wait, we actually engage with the customers a lot. We know what they desire and what they want. Now it's how well do I interface with the commercial element and also with the tech, getting to understand how that translates into some technology.
Okay. Question. Because
Yes.
I guess it sounds like this role really was born from, I guess, the tech companies and the big tech
Yeah.
companies and the explosion of that in the last decade or so. How did, or rather what caused or what gap was there in these tech companies that resulted in this role being developed? And I'm asking that from the perspective of when Facebook was first being developed, or Google, or any of these things, did they have product managers at their initial point? Or was it something that was then, after a result of saying, hey, okay, so the tech guys are running with all sorts of tech. The sales guys are trying to make as much money as they can.
Yeah.
The marketing guys are selling something that the tech guys aren't able to do, whatever the case is. And so we need someone to be able to come and like pull these people together so that we have a coherent messaging that we're putting through.
Yeah.
And my question there is twofold. One, yes, was it a role that was there from the very beginning? And then two, even if someone's building a fintech company or a tech company or whatever the case is, at what point does a product manager need to come in? Is it at the very initial point? Is it once you're hitting a certain number of people that you're a certain number of customers? Yeah.
Okay. So right from the very beginning, the answer is no. It wasn't something that was like there like very early on, early days. Although I think some organizations used to call them like program managers. It's just like someone who's responsible for a certain, let me say, product that the company is already offering.
Yeah.
Right. regarding the history of it, I can't give you the exact details because I'm not. I don't think that's something that I've studied to that extent in terms of like the history behind it and all.
Right.
But as for like if I'm starting my own company, at what point would I actually bring them in? I'd bring them in once I've already identified some good level of product market fit. So as a founder, I personally wouldn't start off with that at the very beginning, right? As a founder, the key thing that even you are trying to figure out yourself is trying to get that product market fit, trying to test, what works for the market or not. And once you've gotten that, now you can put that in the hands of, a product manager, and now let them run with that and make it the necessary tweaks, because you already know what the direction of the organization. Other than because the alternative of that is that now you're as the product manager, now you're completely deciding the trajectory with which the company is going.
Right.
Are we I don't know, are we a finance company? Are we an insurance company? Are we doing Forex? Like FX Pesa?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about, I guess, your introduction into this journey, both in, and to honestly, from two perspectives. One is from the startup perspective, and the second is from, I guess, starting a career in product management. How did you even get involved in this? Because this was, 12 years ago now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So my introduction, I'll take you way back to university days.
Yeah.
So university days, I was doing CPA at Strathmore University, and I was also at the same time I was doing my IT degree in at USIU. So the whole background to that is that I really wanted to just run my own businesses eventually. Hence the CPA. I wanted that and also just have great financial acumen. The IT aspect of it, that came from an angle of, so which companies can you move from like 0 to to 100 in like a year to 5 years, right?
And by 0 to 100, you mean
like just the level of scale, right? Okay, if I'm to give certain figures, how can companies that I can move from zero revenue to like $1 million revenue, even like a year, 2 years, 3 years, of. That's and without too much capital outlay. It's basically tech.
Did you understand that at the time, though, when you were trying to do, when we were picking, and decided to do IT at the time?
Technically speaking, I think I did, to be honest.
Well, okay. Visionary.
I'll attribute a lot of that to my folks.
Okay.
Right. So I'm sure we'll delve into that.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of my how I think through things was greatly influenced by just the deliberate and conscious efforts that they gave that they put into teaching me some of these lessons. Right. So anyway, I started off with the IT degree and that CPA. But just fun fact, that's the same time when I was playing rugby for the national team.
Right.
So very, very busy time in my life.
Yeah.
So that naturally was already such a perfect fit for financial technology, right? So first job I get is was with a fintech, an early day fintech in Kenya. We used to offer airtime loans. Airtime loans to customers. So that's the likes of Copa Credo, Okwa Jahazi kind of things, right? And we're doing that initially. By the time I joined that company, we were just like about 20 people in the organization and only in 2 markets. But by the time I left, like 5 years later, we were in 300 plus people in the organization.
Wow.
Over 30 in over 30 markets.
And when you joined the company, what role did you have? And I know this because we talked about this on the live, that your first salary there was 40,000 shillings, right?
I remember. Yes.
I remember that. Yeah. So what was your role
so
there?
My initial role was as a software engineer.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Now the thing which actually, in fact, this is like the introduction into product management for me. Because at that point, like we also didn't have like anything like product managers in that organization. But early days, company is very small. I think as I mentioned, we're only about 20 people. As a software engineer, yes, I'm building the software, but we're such a small company that am I able to think to build the the credit, to do the decisioning, in terms of like, who should get a loan, how much should they get, what's the risk profile of this person. I was doing that. I was, building some of the marketing messaging, and identifying who to message and all that. So I was basically doing the marketing. When I'd go out to these different countries, I was also the one interfacing a lot with the finance guys, especially considering my SPA background. So, and even lots of interfacing with the customer experience teams of the telcos that we were,
Working
partnering with.
Yeah.
So that in itself, and I loved it. I absolutely really, I remember I used to work. My normal time getting home was 9-10 p.m. There was a day I got home at 8 p.m. My mom was like, Turi, why are you home so early?
So let me get this. So at this point in time,
Yeah.
you're playing rugby, you're working.
Oh, no. When I started working,
rugby finished.
Yeah,
But
rugby was
also,
out.
that was also because of your leg break
Yeah, that
as
was,
well.
that was predominantly
right?
because of the leg injury.
Okay.
The next year, 2 years, now I played basketball now for USIU at
Okay.
that point, and then also now for Kenya.
But you were in
at that
school.
point.
But you were in school at this point.
At the same time, yes.
Okay.
So I was still always playing.
So you've done your CPA,
Yeah.
but now you're doing the IT degree. You're a
Yeah.
software engineer,
yeah, end up playing basketball.
and you're
at that
playing
point.
basketball. Okay.
Yeah. Then in the last 2-3 months of university, that's when I actually got my job.
Okay.
So funny thing, I was actually working about I think 3 days a week.
Okay.
In the, was it in the afternoons or mornings? Yeah, it was just some funny arrangement for but it was just the first month of that. But thereafter now,
You
just
now started
full-time.
working full time.
Yeah. So I really relished, I really enjoyed when the company was very small and I was playing doing all these different things. But as the company grew bigger and bigger and bigger, now my role became more and more specialized towards the actual, you're a software engineering manager.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
that's your domain. Don't do the credit scoring, don't do the marketing, don't do the interfacing with the, the customer experience stuff.
Right.
So all those things just start getting stripped away as the company grows, but it was necessary.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
now you're not just dealing with 2 or 3 markets,
Yeah.
you're dealing with about 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just not possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this time, when you're earning 4,000 shillings, at the time you're still living at home.
Yes.
What you sound like a person who's very put together. So what are you doing? What are you doing with your money at that point? With the 40,000 shillings you're making, what are you doing with your money at that time?
Very first thing I did was throw a graduation party.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You threw yourself a graduation party.
Yes. No, I was
Why
really,
not? Why not your folks? Like what?
Yeah.
What informed that decision?
I think at that point my folks had just retired, and they're just like, yeah, we just really wouldn't be able to.
Right.
I think that's what happened. But I was super proud of
Yourself.
Yeah. Because my uni days, I feel like I really maximized it. With those 2 degrees plus the still being able to play sports at an elite level at that point. I really, really wanted to throw it down at that point. Yeah.
Okay. So did you spend all your money on the graduation party?
Yeah, it all went on that.
Yeah.
Then I think the very next salary, most of it went into a barbecue. And I remember just being like, a barbecue is about meat. I'm not buying anything like ugali or rice and what.
What was the barbecue for?
No, it was just to celebrate life.
So the first one was graduation. The second one was just
So a lot of that just went into that.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake. I think I sent people to go buy lots of chips from the chips shop that's close by.
Right.
But yeah. But thereafter, I remember just also getting lots of burnout already within the first 2 months. And it coincided with my birthday anyway. So I took myself on a holiday. Yeah, I think I just really wanted to
just wanted to live.
at that point. Yeah,
But there was no saving, no investment.
to be honest, with
putting money aside.
the 40,000 one,
Yeah.
I did none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now when it came to 80,000, now at that point, in fact, my mom, I remember telling me that as soon as I got my first salary, she was just like, "All right, you have 12 months to get out of my house."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she
Okay.
kept, and every single month she'd be like, now you have 11 months. Now you have 12 months, like that, right? So So now at that point, and as I mentioned, she's very deliberate about like how she trains me on such things. So she was like, okay, and this is she was like, okay, yes, you have 12 months, but let's see how you can plan for this. So
Okay.
so she was like,
Okay.
okay, write a list of all the things you'd possibly want and need
your
for
house.
you to move,
Right.
in 12 months time. And include even the rent that you'll need to pay at that point, plus the deposit for that. So buy sofa sets. If you want a home theater, just put it as your ideal wish list.
Right.
Now from there, if you need to trim things down, then
right.
you can actually trim it down.
Right, right.
But always start off with your ideal.
Right.
So we did that. I remember that list came to about 400K. So clearly, I knew I needed to cut it down at some point.
Right, right.
But the thing is, she had at least given me like that grace period. Then, as I mentioned, like 6 months later, now that's when after it had already doubled, now it tripled.
So
right?
after it doubled, it tripled.
Yeah.
Right.
So now at that point, I was like, instead of trying to move out into someone else's house, let me look for a mortgage. Yeah.
How old were you at this point?
This is like 2011, 2012. 2012 is when it had tripled. So I was later that year. I was gonna turn. Oh wow! I was gonna turn 25. Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was
And
gonna turn 25
and sorry, before we even go into the,
Yeah.
the
So I was
mortgage,
actually 24 at that point.
the
but I was
time.
gonna turn 25.
before we even get to the proper mortgage and tripling, I want to ask about the nature of startups. Or is,
Yeah.
is it that it was a startup, or is that it was in tech that a person could triple their salary within 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what's how was that possible? Like,
Yeah.
was it from funding? Was it from the company was just doing that well?
So the company was actually doing that well.
Okay.
Right. So the company was actually doing that well. Because like we were basically getting all these different partnerships with the different telcos, and if you're able to do that, and if you're able to scale that well, and revenues are just going to be able to, move from 2x to 3x to 10x, 20x. If you're growing, because many tech companies actually grow their revenues. In 1 year, yes, we 10x our revenue. Next year, we 5x. So if you're able to do that,
you can
then you can actually either bring in more people,
yeah.
or
Pay
pay the
people
guys,
better.
pay
Yeah.
the people better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So your mortgage story. So you
Yes.
decide you want to get a mortgage instead of renting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So yes. So I went shopping around for a house and also shopping around for a loan.
Okay.
Right, for a mortgage. Yeah. So those are two very big things. Fun
Yeah.
fact: the banks that I just found it very ironic.
Yeah.
Housing finance had the highest interest rates. Second highest was equity at the time.
Right.
Cheapest was the bank people would expect to be the most expensive, which was Stanchart.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I bank with Sanchez. So.
Yeah. So yeah. But now the thing is, trying to raise a deposit, I hadn't yet accumulated money, right? 'Cause
Wait.
I
Did they agree to give you a mortgage?
well, yes, but they're like, oh, you still need to raise 25% of the value of the house.
value of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what did I do? Went back and took a personal loan
Okay.
to raise the deposit.
From the same bank?
No,
Or
a different
against?
Okay. Yeah. No, but the thing is, at least the mortgage kicks in once the house is ready. So it wasn't like an off-plan house. So the
Okay,
house was,
okay.
was ready 2 years later.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So you go in, take a loan for 25% of the deposit.
Yeah.
Then raise that, get your at the time. I mean, okay, I haven't gotten a mortgage. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
Thought much about it. I think the most I've known about it is a friend of my brother's who was telling me my brother's 7 years older than me, so
Yeah.
they're much older than me, and they were telling me they were looking into the process of it.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was a year or 2 years ago, and they were just saying, man, it's just so complicated and so difficult to get it done. So I'm curious about you getting it done at 25, I guess,
Yeah.
and how did you manage to convince the banks to be like, yeah, I'm good for the money that you're gonna give me?
Yeah. So the thing with banks, they love employees. Yeah. So as long as you're like a full-time employee, they basically just look like, oh, do you have you earned that money for the last 6 months or for the last whatever period they're looking at that point? Yeah. So it doesn't take much convincing, honestly.
At that
Yeah.
other level. And so let me ask, in terms of the house that then you're buying,
Yeah.
is it up to 10 million? Is it up to 20 million? Is it up to 30?
No, it hadn't crossed 10 million.
It hadn't crossed that. Okay. But so at that point in time, the amount of money that you're looking at as a 25-year-old, was it daunting? Did you ever feel like, I don't know how I'm going to pay this back? Or were you like
Yes.
super confident? Like,
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
pay this back.
So that in itself was a whole back and forth because I wanted a much cheaper house because I just wanted something to have under my name.
Yeah.
And like as a fallback plan. In fact, my deal wasn't even to live in my own house, really.
Yeah.
It was just like to have that as a fallback if anything happens.
Yeah.
But lots of advice from my folks. They're like, just take up a house of the highest possible value that you can actually take up at that point. Yeah. So that was a huge debate between us. But yeah, eventually I leaned on their wisdom,
Right.
and I did take that up.
Okay.
Take that on up. So
Okay.
to be quite frank, yes, it was very, very daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get the house now. And now, actually, another question is, now that you have this, you've taken this mortgage and you have the house, do you then feel like you have to stay employed and you have to stay in
Yes.
your job role
Yeah.
to be able to meet?
Yes. Yeah.
But even though the mortgage payments kick in 2 years later.
So yeah, because so paying off the personal loan, that one I managed to do relatively quickly. Remember, I was traveling quite a bit, so in fact, over and above my salary, I was getting lots of per diems.
Okay.
So that I sorted out. The mortgage is the one that was quite daunting because like even the amount of money that I was paying in the installments, that was much higher. And I think it even took majority of my pay, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Right. The so yes, it did make me feel like scared of even losing a job. And when you're operating from a point of fear, I feel like there's just certain aspects of like taking risk that you're just not willing to take at that point. So that was let me say that was the huge counterbalance towards that. So yes, so that's yeah. Let me yeah.
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 Okay.
That's the long and short of that.
Yeah.
But later on, when I really now started seeing the other benefits, I actually saw that it's actually not as risky as I had actually thought.
Okay.
And actually wrote about this in one of my blogs, whereby mortgages actually cover you. They're actually less risky than, let's say, renting.
Okay.
To a large extent. Because so number one, all mortgages are always insured, right? And in fact, they're even insured for retrenchment as well. So let's take an example of like, oh hey, I lose my job. If I lose my job and I'm renting, by the first month that I miss my payment,
you're paid, you're done.
the landlord's like, hey, please ship out or pay me my cash.
Yeah.
With the retrenchment cover for these mortgages, the insurance actually pays for you. I think it's like around 9, depending on the cover you took, but it can go up to like 9 months. The insurance is actually paying for so you're actually, in fact, getting more and more value into your house.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Throughout that whole period.
Right.
Then there's also another aspect of when there's bad economic downturn,
right,
sort of like what we're facing right now, right, whereby the Kenya shilling is depreciating massively. Therefore interest rates are going skyrocketing, and even value of everything, there's inflation, right?
Yeah, right.
Value of everything just gets inflated.
Right.
There's a time this happened in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And I saw this happening with people within our parents' generation. You know, you buy a house, you take a mortgage of, I don't know, let's say at that time it was like 100 or 200,000 shillings. 2 years, 3 years down the line, the economy has basically tanked.
Yeah.
And that house, you know, inflation is crazy high to the point that that house now becomes, you know, 2M, 3M. Yeah. You sell the house, pay off the bank,
The 200K.
their 200K.
Yeah. Keep
You
on
have
going.
the rest of it. Now you can actually buy a house cash.
Right.
Right? I have a friend of mine, he's Zimbabwean. Same thing happened to them now in the early 2000s when they were also facing the same thing. So it's, you know, assets on loans are really, really handy, especially during these economic downturns. So right now I don't have a mortgage. I really want to get into. I really want to buy an asset on loan right now.
Yeah. Because
The way the economy is looking at the moment.
Yeah.
I think
the value for it would kind
yeah,
of.
like
Okay.
yeah.
That's really interesting, and I think I don't know that I've met maybe I hang around this in the wrong circles. I've met another 25, 26-year-old who's sort of taken a mortgage, or I guess even been thinking, I guess, in that sense. Okay, so what's the next big phase? Because now you said your so big phase here is your salary has now tripled. You've now gotten a mortgage. You're paying it off, taking majority of your of your cash, sort of pay it off.
Yeah.
You sort of feel like, you need to stay in this job to be able to make it happen. What's your next big career thing, I guess? Because you moved jobs. You say you were there for 4 years and then you moved jobs, right? What was the process of moving? And I'm asking this vis-a-vis, of course, the mortgage payments that you have to make. And if I'm not wrong, based on the conversation we had before, you now get married in between these 4 years, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. So what's happening at this point? So that's like 2012. That's now the whole time of identifying a house.
Right.
The mortgage checks in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah, that's now when the house is ready, which coincides literally within 2 weeks of each other.
Okay.
With my wedding.
Okay.
So I literally moved from my folks' place. Oh, actually, how I even got to the whole thing about the mortgage. Is that once I actually went and got a mortgage, is that now my folks actually managed to rescind on the whole thing of that 12 months you need to get out.
Oh, okay.
That's actually wow, I took a huge tangent there. So the whole reason to even talk about the whole mortgage was that they're like, actually now that you're getting this,
a house,
it's gonna help if you're not paying rent somewhere else.
So you can stay.
So you can stay.
So how much longer did you end up staying?
Oh, until I got married.
Because you're like, I'm paying a mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm either paying for the deposit.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So now saving up for the wedding. That's another huge thing. So at least now my wife's salary also checks in and helps with that. And we get into so 2014 we get married. Move into our house and now
into this house,
right? And so which actually worked out well because I don't like if I wanted the house that I was looking for, maybe we might not have moved into that one.
You'd have refused that one.
Yeah, potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was and I don't even know if you'd even have the answer for this, but do you think that the fact that like you had your own house and all of these things, like, were those appealing factors in the dating scene at that time?
Well, I assume it was appealing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was like any primary thing or reason.
Right.
Majority of guys weren't in that phase anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So we. Sorry.
So you now you're at you have so you've moved into this house. The mortgage is now kicked in. Your wife's also contributing.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the next big thing that happens.
So that's the next big.
Also, we're going to talk about how you move jobs now.
Yeah. So moving jobs. This was actually a very, very tough time at that point because as we were getting married, like we were very family oriented, like my wife and I. So even before we got kids, we always knew that once we get our first child, our whole game plan is going to be that she'll quit work and focus on building the family, like
Right.
i.e. getting more kids,
Right.
and also our plan was to homeschool for the first maybe 5, 6, 7 years of their lives.
Okay.
Right. Just so that we're able to really impart our values on the kids. And those are really the years of attachment, like where you give the kid an option to play with with their friend or to play with you.
Yeah.
They'll typically choose
Yeah.
you at that point.
Yeah.
Thereafter, they'll probably choose their friend.
Yeah.
So take full advantage of that.
Yeah.
So come 2016, now when we get our first child, it was time to actually make good on our
on your promise.
on our promise.
And sorry, a question on your promise before you even
Yes.
talk about that. As you're deciding that, is there then an equal discussion, whether direct or indirect, that okay, fine, I'm gonna quit my work, take care of the kids and the family. You need to double or triple your revenues or whatever the case is. Is that direct or is it indirect? Because I mean,
So it was direct in the opposite direction.
what does that mean?
Because
Yeah.
So in fact, I think I probably caused her quite a bit of stress at that point,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you why. Because at that point I was like, okay, we have 9 months. We know the baby's
Leeway,
coming.
right.
So it's like, hey, can you please find a side hustle? Start building the side hustle now,
Right.
so that while you're at home, you can run this and bring in some extra income.
Oh, you're telling her?
I'm telling her.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So hence why I was saying in the opposite direction. Right.
God.
And once it gets to like half your salary, then that's when
like you get-
that's when I'll give you the green light.
to like quit.
That's when we have the green light for you
Right.
to to quit that job.
Right.
So I'm applying that pressure, and eventually I just remember getting home one day, and I think this is maybe a month to the baby
Yeah.
being born, or maybe the baby was born, it was like a month in,
Yeah.
and I just realized, I just got home and I was like, you know what, no pressure. You it's fine. We'll just cut back
back.
on our lifestyle.
Yeah.
That's going to be the solution for
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Right. And I just remember she literally cried tears of joy. Which is very ironical that someone is crying tears of joy that
They're cutting
that
back
you're cutting
on their
back.
lifestyle, yeah.
But it's to literally allow us to literally to live that life that we wanted, and to actually give our kids that necessary attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did that. That was a season of reckoning. 'Cause
Yeah.
now you're really, really cutting.
I mean,
back.
how much did you need to cut back in terms of if you're into giving us percentages?
Yeah.
If your income at that point in time was, let's say, 1 million shillings, like how much are you cutting back? What percentage
Yeah.
are you putting back?
So we're
on?
cutting back about 30% of and mind you, we already have the mortgage.
Yeah.
So
Tell me 30% in practical terms. What does it mean? Does it mean rather than buying a named brand, you're buying ketchup, like Carrefour bread, as opposed to, I don't know what bread people buy now. Like, I don't need bread, but like as opposed to, or maybe as opposed to like Frosties, you're buying like Procter & Allen.
yeah. Gosh, wow, you're taking me back. I'm trying to
Yeah.
really think back. So a large part of it was giving. How much were we giving? Just like hey, here, just to different people and channels. So that was. I think that was one of the major things that I clearly remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I was okay.
The
now,
others now were really tightening the belt. Okay,
Yeah.
what can we shave off from here? What can we shave off from there? Yes, things like bulk shopping now becomes a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question: You go on to now have 3 more kids, and now
Yes.
you have 4.
Yes.
Right. The finances for one already sound, quite daunting. Your wife's still taking care of the kids. How do you guys, or how do you figure that out? Where That's basically how do you figure that out? Because you go from
Right.
1 to 4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's another thing that we had also already preconceived and pre-planned. It's that once we get the first child, we need to go on a
Get
you know
the
just get all of them within the same season.
Right.
Right. So that they even grow up together. We just finish up with that season. All at once. That was always our game plan. It also coincided now with like now at work. Remember I pointed out that my role became more and more narrowly
Centered,
focused.
right? Yeah.
So, and I'm more of a generalist, even with sports, as you saw. Like, I'm not just a rugby player. I'm also a basketball player.
Yeah.
Fun fact: I also played baseball for Kenya, but under 12.
Baseball.
Yes, but that was under 12.
Okay.
Yeah, played against South Africa and UG.
Okay.
But yes, so we play. Sorry, well, we've gone into the sports side. Yes, so that coincides with also that season at work, right? So now I'm looking for the kind of role that helps me get back to like my strength, where I'm
You're doing
interfacing
multiple
with I'm interfacing with multiple people in the organization, and so I do my research and I find that there are basically two things that probably fit that bill. One was business development, the other was product management.
Okay.
In our organization, did we have anything like product management? Answer was no.
Yeah.
So I go to the founders. I'm like, hey, I'd like to shift into business development, and I give them the reasons and all that, and just like how my game plan to cover, the gap that I'll leave behind, and they actually agree, right? But that only lasted for I think 2 months or so, because now there was another company that was looking now for a product manager, and they were referred to me, and did the interviews and actually got the role, and that helped cover for my wife's the lost income that we had. In fact, I think by a factor of 2 times or 3 times, right? So that's
Right,
so literally that whole thing of mtoto anakuja na sahani yake.
Yes, it came.
Literally happened for us, especially particularly, and I think the way God just works things out. At that point, we had already cut back and made our budget lean, and then now the income increased.
Came in, right.
So that was so beautiful. That was like amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Question: how much are product managers making? Because again, what year is this? This is before. This is pre-COVID, right?
Yes, this is pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, right?
Yeah.
So what are product managers making? How much are product managers being paid in this market?
Yeah. So of course it depends on like your level.
Right.
You'd have like the junior level product managers, intermediate. You've got your seniors. You've even got your managers as well. So I think with juniors it can range anywhere within. It's basically like 100 to like I guess around 200. Intermediates can be anywhere between. Well, remember also it depends on the organization.
The organization that you're
'Cause,
working
like,
in,
some
right? Of course.
organizations can pay way more. So intermediate, I believe that should be around the 200 to 400. You start getting now there you're more in the senior level, up to about like 500. Now from there 500, getting to now the what do you call it? Leadership rank.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you could make anything between, I guess, at a senior level, make anything between 500,000 to 1,000,000 shillings, or even above that, depending on the company that
Yes, exactly.
that you're working in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this this product manager role that you get is able to, like you've said, cover the salary that's gone now in terms of as our income.
Yeah.
But is it enough to then prepare you for the 3 other kids that come? I mean, is that enough to set you up and be like, yeah, we're good?
Yeah. So the good thing about kids early on, they're really not that expensive, to be honest. Yeah. The expenses really start kicking in when school fees kick in.
Yeah.
That's where the kids start really becoming a huge
right.
cost center.
Right.
Prior to that, yes, they're a bit of a cost center because of diapers, but diapers can't compare to school fees at all. Cannot.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So at the phase that you've been at and where you've been at so far, like it's been okay.
Yeah, it's been
Do you
good.
have any trepidations, any worries, any fears about meeting certain costs? You know, once your youngest one, who's now one, you know, starts going to school, once he starts going to school, do you have fears and thoughts and contingencies around, yeah, you know, them going to the schools that you want them to go to, you being able to meet those costs and pay those fees?
Quite frankly, that's something I don't think I really worried about much, to be genuinely honest. The and the way we countered that, and like the mindset that we basically had, that we've operated with my wife is, just take a look at, you know, even just the most senior people within the country, for instance, right? It's not that they're all from, you know, the premier schools in the country. Many of them came from, you know, just
Right.
you know, some, even in fact, even some pretty rough
Schools, so to speak. Yeah.
But one thing that is typically, you know, that you can ride on is, you know, what values did you raise them with, and, you know, what kind of mindset did you prepare them, you know, did you inculcate in them, and now that's where, you know, now that's that's the most important thing that we're seeing that we need to do with my wife. So
that's where the priority
yeah,
is.
that's really where the priority is.
Okay.
Like if we can afford, you know, more comfortable, you know, things and more, you know, and better schooling facilities, yeah, you know, we'll take them there.
Yeah.
But if we can't, you know, just be real with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we wrap up, any other investments that you've done over the years since you started making money? 14 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than the mortgage, anything else that you've invested in or looked at? Have you taken any of these education plans? Yeah.
So personally, I don't really believe in education plans.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I have an entire blog post about that.
We'll put the link in the description box. Yeah.
I generally believe, you know, let insurance be insurance and let investments be investments. Education plans try to marry the two, and you don't really get the best of both worlds. That's the whole concept behind that.
Okay.
Right. I have done other investments. So bought a piece of land. Also bought another apartment as well. So yeah, I'm a real estate guy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially you know, considering, you know, like some of the things I told you about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I in fact the very first thing I ever did was buy shares. In fact, my 18th birthday gift I turned when I became an adult was actually 10,000 shillings worth of Muturi shares. Yeah.
Oh,
so-
did you cash them out?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay. That's great to be like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I used to
Yeah.
trade stocks way,
Yeah.
you know, from that time, like
Okay.
05 up until like 2010, 13-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when the markets were really good.
Okay.
Yeah, at some point, eventually I just sold all of them.
Okay.
Those things just kept going down.
All right.
Yeah.
Final question. What do you think is, or do you think we've hit the ceiling right now with product management as a career space, or have we just scratched the surface? Within a Kenyan context.
Within a Kenyan context.
Yeah.
Within a Kenyan context, we're actually scratching the surface at the moment. Reason I say that is it's pretty new. So you find, you know, guys getting into intermediate level or even senior level, you know, maybe with 2-3 years worth of experience in the field. Yeah. So and yet, you know, if you look at other markets, e.g., you know, we talk about the Microsofts, but now outside, out, you know, like in the US, people in that kind of level have probably played that role for like, you know, maybe even a decade. Right. And therefore, like, they've even made it a science up to that point. Here, I feel like we're still, you know, doing lots of trial and error.
Okay.
Thus far.
So there's still money to be made.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit to go.
Okay. Interesting. All right, guys. That was Philip. That was all about the product management world and what it has to offer. Clearly, there's quite a bit of money to be made there, and he says there's still more to be made. So I've learned quite a bit. Enjoyed the conversation, hearing about your personal decision making, and I guess even personal finances around 4 kids. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'll have you again at some point. There's stuff, a few things we still need to discuss. But yeah, so I was Philip Muturi, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, Merry Christmas, and yeah, happy holidays.